extra fat, low skim, double whip latte.
Keep going. I'm almost there.
Right? Because this defense was something that we haven't really seen in terms of the pressures that they brought, the way that they loaded the box, like James said. It's dirty saying that. But that's our other podcast, Loading the Box with James.
Play that, Patreon. Wait till you see the perks.
So yeah, I was super impressed with how prepared the defense was. Derrick Henry got his 23 carries, but he came up short of 100 yards. Yeah, we were expecting that. We weren't expecting him to come up short of 100 yards. So I was just really impressed with the defense overall. And there was a couple of drives where they, let up some points, but that was it. I mean, 2 drives and then that was it.
Well, you have and I don't remember what our question was about Davante Adams last week, but this man is. I mean, to say he's not on the path, I'm gonna be bold here. To say he's not on a Hall of Fame path, I think at this point is ridiculous with the way he's playing. He's the best receiver in the NFL, targeted 12 times, 11 receptions for 142 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's like he could. It's some of those catches. I'm mad at Aaron Rodgers for throwing them while the balls are in the air, and then I can't believe what he does. It's incredible.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Clearly, they have a trust between the two of them where Rodgers just expects to be able to throw anything within arm's reach, and Adams can bring it in, and Adams trusts Aaron Rodgers to know when he's going to be open. The third down catch or second down catch, I think it was in the fourth quarter where they're trying to eat time off the clock, where Rodgers just chucked up a prayer and just chucked it up. And that catch was insane. Was
that the one where he's like reaching down? And that was terrific.
Insane. I mean, first of all, the throw was beautiful. Yeah, but that catch, it's and then Adams is so good on bubble screens and RPOs. Like his first touchdown, where he took a little swing pass and made a Adoree Jackson miss and took it to the house. He's just such a special player, and really he's kind of a poster child for people to not judge wide receivers based on a bad first year or two. Because I remember in 2014 and 15, people wanted him gone. Like they wanted him off the team. And now him and Rodgers might be the 2 players from this, and maybe Bakhtiari from this roster to get in the Hall of Fame someday.
Yeah. It's just, but to see the improvement from that year, Kevin, where his drops were so pronounced and at such bad times, to see how clutch he is now, when you see it thrown in his direction, it's like he's automatic.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that over the last couple of years, I don't necessarily know that was the case, right? This year feels different when they're getting Davante Adams involved than it did last year and the year before that.
Remember the talk last year when he was hurt, they had great games. Everybody, they force it too much to Davante Adams. They force it too much to Adams. Well, they're not saying that this year.
Well,
Rodgers is playing better.
And I think that's it. Yeah, I think it's Rodgers is obviously a huge part of it, because last year his throws to Adams sometimes looked forced. This year, they're not forced. They are a part of the game plan that you can't stop. It's different.
When you have an offense that goes through one wide receiver, he's got to be one of the greatest wide receivers in the game, because it's easy to throw a couple of guys on a wide receiver and they still can't stop him at this point.
Right. And you see it every single week. I think the only team that's really done a good job in the last 6 or 7 weeks of taking Davante Adams out of the game was it a couple weeks ago? Was it Philly? I forget who it was, but they and even then he still got like 60 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. But he's just a special player, and it's so much fun to watch. And to think this dude missed 2.5 games this year. That's insane.
And he's on the verge of breaking every Packers receiving record at this point. It's a stretch, I think, for yards, but he will break He will break Sterling Sharp's reception number. It's possible to break. I think it's Jordy Nelson's touchdown record.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities in this last game, and if he had not missed 2.5 games, he crushes every one of them.
Oh yeah.
And this is not the Jacksonville Jaguars we're talking about. This is not an organization that's 25, 30 years old. This is the Green Bay Packers. And he's about to shatter all the receiving records for that team. Now, granted, the game has become more offensive and passing oriented, but it's an incredible feat. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Just ask Rex Ryan.
Different feet.
Oh,
with an A. Feet with an A.
My bad.
No
Feet with
problem.
an A.
And here's how it works. If you have a receiver that's getting 50% of your targets, which is what Davante Adams did, here's how that works. Aaron Jones, 2 receptions on 3 targets. Lazard, 2 for 2. Austin, 2 for 2. St. Brown, 1 for 1, right? You can't have drops from your supporting cast or else it won't work. And the supporting cast, even though they didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to shine, they were part of the reason why that game was just such a blowout.
Right. And every week they seem to figure out, LaFleur seems to figure out how to use that supporting cast in a manner, it's not the same every week. Some weeks it's MVS, some weeks it's Tunyon, some weeks it's a combination of, Tunyon and Lazard. They find the weak spots in the defenses of the other teams, and that allows Davante Adams to have room to just do what he does.
It's like it's different than the last couple of years because the offense is not forced to it's flowing to Davante Adams, and there's a huge difference, and you can see it this year versus the last couple of years.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about the other offensive star of this game, and I'm not even talking about Aaron Rodgers yet. We're not even talking about the quarterback who was 21 for 25 for 231 and 4 touchdowns. No, we're going to talk about A.J. Dillon at this point. A.J. Dillon's line on the night is crazy. 21 rushes for 124 yards, averaging 5.9 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. That's a hell of a debut for a rookie, James.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was fun to watch. There's just something about that dude when he's just bowling over people. He feels to me like Eddie Lacy and James Starks kind of rolled into one running back.
Eddie Lacy with salads.
Look, Eddie Lacy was a portly fellow like I am, and I will tolerate no slander of the portly.
But do you eat salads, James?
I do lots of them.
There you go, and because you're trying.
I am.
That's all I'm asking.
Potato salad.
Snickers salad. No, just watching him, and this is why they drafted him. I fully believe that this exact situation was why they went out in the second round and they took this kid from Boston College that nobody had ever heard of.
With quads the size of redwoods.
Yeah.
The size of all of California. I'm trying to do that guy who did the movie trailers. He died. That was years ago, but I'm trying to get into the business.
You have to do that. You have to get that done.
Movies though, anyway.
So my oldest son is named Dylan, and I told him on Sunday night that he's now my 3rd favorite Dylan.
You're being generous, huh?
Well, there's AJ, and then there's Marshall, and then there's my son.
You forgot 90210, Dylan.
Oh, Dylan McKay. Yeah. His dad was killed in a limo explosion. That was sad. Anyway,
it wasn't.
What?
That's the number one cause of death in Beverly Hills.
It is.
Explosions.
It is.
It just happens. I don't know why. But yeah, that was exciting to see. His running style in that weather was perfect. And, I think it was last week we heard Aaron Rodgers say how important he thought home field advantage was. And we all kind of snickered at that because there's no crowd. But man, think about it. Who's going to come into Green Bay and play a sloppy game like that and be able to stop A.J. Dillon? There were several times where players made business decisions during that game not to try to tackle him.
Yep, I remember watching. There's one play in particular where it was one of the first ones where he ripped off like a 15 or 16 yard run, and there was a linebacker. I cannot remember who it was, but he had him dead to rights. Like all he had to do was just hit him, and he literally just turned to the side like Marshall Newhouse.
Yeah,
and just let him go.
I think we need to talk about. We're obligated because it's a Packers podcast. Aaron Rodgers' performance. And whether or not that performance on Sunday signed the Hall of Fame, the MVP ballot. It's going to be such a good analogy, eh? Is he our MVP now, barring, just vomiting all over the field in week 17?
Like literal or figurative vomit?
Figurative. Because if he was literally vomiting, I think that would be an excuse. You'd be like, he could still be the Hall of Fame. The guy puked the MVP guy puked all over the place.
Well, Andy Reid came out today and said that Patrick Mahomes is not playing on Sunday. So I think that's a big help.
Most volatile puke.
Yeah, if he's not playing, then that's it. That's it.
I mean, it is. I don't want to be. If Aaron Rodgers comes out on Sunday and throws 3 picks and no touchdowns, then okay, maybe we can still talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
But like, unless he does something like that, which God, I hope I didn't just jinx it. I think, I don't think you can even argue it anymore.
Yeah, his stat line was incredible. He just. Oh, and by the way, can we talk about the one thing you don't do when you're playing against Aaron Rodgers, and that is mock the belt?
Malcolm
Especially
Butler.
when you're well behind and at Lambeau. You do not mock the belt.
Sometimes you've got a good idea at a time, and then it's just not a good idea later on when you go to execute.
Like you and I, we are fiery competitors, let's say. You remember the story of the time that I took a soccer rule book out of the library so that the next soccer game I could present it to the referee to show him that he was wrong.
Fun fact, I don't believe you ever returned that book to the library.
Fun fact, Dad made me return it and pay a $12 fine for a paper book that was probably $4.
That's just teaching your responsibility. Good job,
I
Pop.
showed the ref that he was wrong. So who's the real winner in all of this? I'll wait. The real winner was the Baltimore County Public Library. That was all right. What else to talk about this game? I don't think we gave enough credit to we talked about the ability to stop the run, but we didn't talk as much about the defensive backs and what a hell of a night they had. It was just, they just looked like they knew every route the receiver was going to run.
Well,
they
also had the benefit of getting to the quarterback and putting pressure on him, and that, I mean, when you don't have time to throw and you're throwing against a good pass defense like the Packers have, Ryan Tannehill, he might have good numbers, but he's going to be exposed in a game like that.
And he was. If you pressure Ryan Tannehill, he does dumb stuff.
Just like me in high school.
Just like me at 40. To your point, Rashawn Gary, guys, like that guy, he is going to be special. I'm calling it now. Rashawn Gary is a special player. He's not huge. He's not going to overwhelm you with size. He's not huge, but he is. Well, I mean, like me in certain things, but
right.
He's strong and he's fast, and he's smart and he does the right thing. So
Spike Lee joint.
He does. Yes, it is. Which that is a fantastic movie, by the way. You have Gary crashing on one side and Zadarius Smith on the other, and then Jair Alexander, and then you have Darnell Savage, who I think is also going to be a special player.
Savage. I mean, it looks like they got some things right.
I like what
great right now.
I like when they were showing the ranks, the Pro Football Focus ranks, and like Kevin King 107 of 120. I was like, let's skip past that one.
Yeah, we should leave that one off the old Chiron.
Yeah, why don't you put nice personality or something?
He's not great, but no, I mean Darnell Savage is he's I think potential to be Nick Collins-esque, and
that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. I mean, and if you have Jair and it's almost like when we had Charles Woodson and Nick Collins at the same time. And I know Woodson was more of a safety cornerback kind of hybrid, but it's a lockdown corner and a safety who's always around the ball. And what else can he ask for?
Let's talk about at this point who the Packers have to be the favorite in the NFC. I mean, I know they're the 1 seed as it sits now. So the playoff scenario is what? They win, they have the 1 seed.
That's correct.
Or if they lose and Seattle loses, they have the 1 seed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So there's two paths. If you win, you got it. You get the week off. You don't have to worry about the COVID protocols. Hopefully, your players are responsible enough. Although maybe it's the other way around. But
I think they still get tested. I think they still have to go and get tested.
No. I guess my point is you're not as in and out of the facility, so maybe you're more. But now that I think about it, that week off scares me because when you have time off, people who are social and people, if people like you get invited to parties. That's what I've heard.
What's a party?
Kev,
couldn't help you there.
Okay, so that's what I've heard. No, but so you get that week off, you get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is going to be meaningful. Who else in the NFC scares you?
New Orleans scares me a little bit.
Not in Green Bay.
Not in Green Bay. No, not in Green Bay. I mean, coming into Green Bay, honestly, Chicago might be the in terms of understanding how to work with the weather. Chicago might be the only team left that has maybe Seattle, but not.
Seattle can play sloppy weather, and they might be tough in sloppy weather, but I don't think their defense is going to have a chance. Russell Wilson's going to have a shootout with you, and he's going to have to try to win that shootout. That's how that game plays out.
Well, the Packers and mobile quarterbacks scare me, and I don't know. I have Seahawks like flashbacks. Then
it's trauma from past experience. Just like I'm just now getting over the 49ers torture, like just the way that Colin Kaepernick used to beat the crap out of us, and how it's also a complete social injustice that he's not in the league still. But we've said that time and time again. But yeah, Seattle still, I have just a visceral reaction to that team. I hate them. And when I'm forced to root for them because it makes sense for the Packers, it makes me angry.
That's how I felt last week with I had to root for the Vikings against the Saints. And
that was horrible to have to root for the Vikings. I did that too. It sucked.
You guys like my Pete Carroll impersonation?
That's pretty good. You're not chewing on gum though. You have to
I actually think I would broke my nose.
Let's role play. You're Pete Carroll. I'll be just interviewer guy. Okay.
Oh geez. Okay.
Coach Carroll, do you think jet fuel can melt steel beams?
Nope.
Back to you in the booth, Jim. And scene. Who says we don't do skits anymore?
That was top notch. Like, you're not going to get that at any other Packers podcast.
It's like you've got a Packers podcast and a great improv team.
Yeah, we'll go with great on that one.
Yeah, let's move on because I feel
I did one time take an acting class in college.
You did that because you thought there'd be a lot of women in the class. Admit it.
I mean, I knew there would be, but no, it was an elective, so why not?
I one time acted like I went to college.
I one time took a class called The Theology of Marriage, and I sat next to the woman who would be my future ex-wife.
Oh, irony.
Thy name is college.
I got an A in the class. I did not.
And a B and a wife. I get it.
No, I think it was a C.
Oh.
Hey, at least you weren't the wife who got a D. Hey.
All right, let's talk about our patrons, the a-holes who pay for this crap. Now, if you want to be an a-hole who pays for this crap, you can do that too. Go to patreon.com/TTSO, and for a small or large per episode donation, you'll support the show, buy all sorts of new equipment that I don't have enough cables to work with yet. I have an entire setup tonight. I have a soundboard, a third monitor, all set up, but none of the correct cables to hook them together right now. But anyway, so if you want to help me buy cables, become a patron. And we need to talk about our OG patrons. These people deserve the most respectful veneration.
The OGest of respect, I would say.
Absolutely.
So we have 6 patrons I would like to talk about, and each one of them, New Year's Eve is coming up, and each one of them has a unique way of celebrating. So kind of want to, discuss that with you. Yeah. So everybody knows that the ancient Greeks would parade a baby around in a basket to celebrate Dionysus, the god of fertility and wine. Everybody knows that.
Common knowledge.
I think we've touched on several episodes. But what everyone doesn't know is that baby was actually Scott Neer.
Oh, wow. I did not know.
It was Dionysus.
More mature than I knew. I didn't. Yeah, okay.
Starting every February 3rd, Jason Hicks begins the process of hand ripping over 2,000 pounds of discarded groceries receipts into pieces of confetti that he will sell to New York City to be used at Times Square on New Year's Eve as confetti. So it's really,
He does it by hand, you say. Why not like a shredder?
he's got some time, so he does it by hand.
You have to love him, the commitment to his craft.
Well, that's what it's artisanal confetti,
Right.
and that's handcrafted.
Organic.
Right. Chris Korsmo likes to spend Christmas on Christmas Island so that when New Year's Eve rolls around, she's one of the earliest in the world to celebrate.
Wow.
And because Milo Meadsong likes to sleep in, he prefers celebrating New Year's Eve on Baker Island. Of course, he needs special military approval to visit this uninhabited island about 1,900 miles southwest of Hawaii, but he always gets it because he throws one hell of a kegger. Jeff Augustine knows that in Denmark, it's tradition to break dishes at your friends and loved ones' doorsteps to show them that they're loved. Jeff Augustine supplies those plates by crafting each one by hand in a ghost-like situation with his significant other. So he's romantic and making money at the same time. It's really a great idea.
Ghost-like situation.
Well, I didn't know how else to say. And last but not least, always a fan of a ball drop, James Hamblin.
Oh,
We should probably go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about snacks. And we're going to talk about the Bears. In that order. You're back at 2 and 2. Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. You just order like you normally would, and you help the show. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Welcome back to this fine program. Titletown Sound episode 254. We're talking Packers. Kevin, yes.
What do you guys do during the break?
I ran and got an iced tea. Usually I just sit here.
I read War and Peace.
Sometimes I urinate.
And you do just sit there for that.
Right, I don't get up. Right. I don't wait for the break either, just in the middle of true talk. Well, you'd see this face. That's usually a tell. That's a tell.
Good to know.
If you see this face, that's another. Yeah, we might have to stop the show if you see that face. If you see this face, well, that's a whole other story. I'd like to do a little visual bit on our mostly audio podcast. I think that really kills. Just the best part is if you're listening and not watching, just insert the funniest face possible into those pauses.
Yeah,
You've got an even better experience than those who watched it live.
it's like reading for podcasting.
Right, it's theater of the mind. I like to
It
say.
is.
Choose your own adventure.
Right, illustrate your own book.
Frost your own cookies.
I got in trouble for that in Manhattan once. Sir, you cannot frost cookies or whatever you're doing. in the park. James, tell us about our Hall of Fame patrons.
All right, so our Hall of Fame patrons, we have Paul Goldsack, we have Kyle Turpening, DJ Lightfoot, Will Zine Savage, and Michael James Crowder. Now, again, New Year's Eve is tomorrow night as we record here on the 30th. It's tomorrow night. And what you might not know about these 6, they have been tasked by ABC, the network, the television network. They are going to operate Dick Clark a la Weekend at Bernie for New Year's Rockin' Eve.
God, I was missing that. That will make quarantine worth it.
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean,
did they do a little jaw hinge? I hope they've done.
Yeah, there's a jaw hinge. They they put those glasses on them. They have the eyes drawn on, and then and then they're just gonna be like.
I believe that's a respectful way to handle his corpse.
It is.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair. Fair statement.
Just as we went to air, so to speak, we got news that the Green Bay Packers have claimed they've claimed Snacks, James. That's all I know. So I got excited. Turns out he plays football.
He does. Now I just assumed they meant that Tunyon got his Funyuns.
But they re-signed Tunyon.
Yeah.
Yes.
They went out and signed Damon Snacks Harrison, most notably from the New York Giants. He played there for a long time, and he spent part of the season in Seattle. He's a nose tackle, and he's a large human being, which is good. And he's actually, when he was with New York, he was very good. He was a high quality. He got hurt,
yeah,
and he got released, and he went to Seattle, and he played very limited snaps there before they kind of stashed him away, and then he didn't like being stashed away, and he asked for his release, and they granted it, or waivers, I should say. They put him on waivers, and there's been a lot of so he's very active on Twitter, and he's very engaging. If you mention Snacks on Twitter, you don't even have to add him half the time. He will.
Oh, wow.
He will engage with you, and not in a different.
He's like the lead singer from Dishwalla in that.
Yes. Or
no wonder he didn't play.
No,
Snacks, get out there. No, I can't. I'm tweeting.
I'm counting blue cars. What other Green Bay Packers podcast is going to give you a Snacks Harrison Dishwalla comparison? There's not another one out there. Maybe the G Spot, but I don't know much about them.
I heard
Can't find them.
They're a myth. I heard. I didn't think they existed.
Well played. Well played.
Anyways, he so he went to Seattle. He actually was pretty productive in Seattle. He was I think Pro Football Focus, who I think if you've heard me on this podcast talk about them before, I think they're garbage. But if you're into their type of deal, they ranked him pretty high this year for. So they put him on waivers a couple days ago. He went on Twitter and replied to somebody and said, I'm not going into anybody who claims me on waivers. That's not how I'm going to get picked up. It's not going to happen. So it was kind of like, okay, because Packers fans have been clamoring for this guy for the whole year, really.
Right.
If we've wanted Snacks. And so today when it was announced, hey, we picked him up on waivers, knowing that 2 days ago he had said it ain't going to happen. Obviously people started to kind of be skeptical about it. Well, somebody on Twitter replied to one of the reporters who broke the story and said he must have some sort of agreement or a list of teams that if they picked him up on waivers, he would agree to terms with them, and the Packers must be on that list. To which Snacks Harrison replied, "Bingo."
So okay.
So he was playing bingo. Interesting.
He was on Twitter. For all intensive purposes,
nice.
Look, I'm not dumb. I know it's not.
Irregardless of what he said previously,
right? It sounds like he's actually going to report and play if he's.
Let me ask a follow-up question. I think this is the question that I've wondered most of the day. What the hell can he help Week 17? He hasn't played football for how long? Like, in what way can he contribute to this team at this point when the defense is just, they just had their best game of the year? I don't get it at this point. I get it 10 weeks ago. I don't get it now.
I think he just provides depth at a position where, the running attack rush defense becomes extra important this time of year, especially given who their probably going to face in the playoffs. They're all run heavy teams or they rely a lot on the run. And he's he can help Kenny Clark absorb some of those double teams. Maybe free up Kenny Clark a little bit. Maybe free up the edge rushers a little bit more.
Right.
I don't know if people out there remember in the 2010 season when the Packers won the Super Bowl, they picked up a little earlier, but towards this point in the season, a guy named Howard Green, and he didn't do a whole lot. And then in the Super Bowl, he created a pick six for Nick Collins, and that was his moment in the sun. So if this turns out to be, if he makes one play all postseason and it ends up in a Super Bowl win, it was worth it.
Kevin, I can't argue with that.
Not worth it. No. He needs to win 2 Super Bowls this year.
Good counterpoint. Win to Kevin. James, try harder next time.
Hey,
I miss our argument or our point counterpoint thing we did for a while there. That was fun.
So let's go to true or false, which is now also going to be our analysis of the Bears game. So I'm going to play that. This may be the last time you hear the old theme song. I'm not sure yet. No.
True or false, true or false, true or false, true or false. It's time to play. True or false.
I hit my knee on my beer fridge. All right, Kev, why don't you take it over?
I forgot deodorant before we were started, guys.
Yes.
Okay. So we're in week 17, aren't we?
We are.
This is week 17. Okay. Week 17, true or false? Question number 1. In weeks 1 through 10, the Bears averaged just 78 rushing yards per game. Since their bye week, Chicago is averaging 151 rushing yards per game, including 121 against the Packers in week 12. The Packers defense this season is allowing 113 rushing yards per game on average. True or false? The Packers will hold I'm pressing the wrong down button. True or false? The Packers will hold the Bears to under 121 rushing yards. Chris, what do you think?
Under 121.
That's what they had last year, and their season is over.
I got to say they're a better defense at this point than they were last time they played, so I got to say true.
James?
Oh, that's a tough one because I've watched the last couple of Bears games, and David Montgomery is becoming a threat. I'm going to say false.
I'm going to say true because I don't care.
So, James, tell me about that. Tell me about the Bears rushing attack and what you think. How can the Packers stop it? How can they slow them down? What are the keys to this defense and this run offense?
Well, the issue is with the Bears, as opposed to the Titans, David Montgomery is a completely different type of back than Derrick Henry. He's more of a elusive. He's quicker.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky is Mitch Trubisky. We know what we're getting with him, but he also provides the threat of they have some option stuff they run. He's
mobiler than people realize. I think
he is. And
mobiler.
I feel like
mobile.
I feel like Mike Pettin feels like he has the blueprint to beat the Bears because I think that's all he's done is beat the Bears. I don't think he's going to stray from that. And that blueprint, it usually is give up some rushing yards and just control Trubisky. And, it's worked so far. So if it ain't broke.
And also, again, hope you get ahead.
Right.
We talked about this, Kevin. You made this point that when we were playing last week, true false, that this Titans team that they just beat was designed to play from ahead. And you saw that in the game where once they got behind and they had to rely on Ryan Tannehill, it wasn't going to work. And the national announcers, Kevin, also said exactly what you said, which led me to believe that you might have accidentally dropped some knowledge on our listeners. So that's like bonus knowledge.
Yeah, even I was surprised to hear that I was right. I'm not going to lie to you. Well, no, actually, it's funny because like the first or second drive, it was 3rd and 7. The Packers got it and they stopped them. And I was like, oh, damn, it's happening. And I was, I mean, it was pretty much that way the entire game.
You did a pretty good job with the true false picking up the keys to the game. So what's our next true false for next week?
Okay. Number 2. Davante Adams currently leads the league with 17 touchdown receptions. He's averaging 1.3 touchdowns a game because he hasn't played in all the games. But in his career against the Bears, he has just 7 touchdown receptions in 13 games. True or false? In week 17, Davante Adams will have a touchdown reception.
You can't bet against this man. I have to say true.
James, what do you think?
I think it's true. I think that they're going to go out of their way to get him one because of the possibility of setting Packers records. So I think he's going to get it.
And I also think, like I said earlier, I think in past years they would have forced him to a touchdown, but I feel like this year, if he gets one, it's because it's all natural.
We're just so in sync. There's no such thing as forcing it anymore. I haven't seen a pass to Davante Adams that was forced yet. Yet I saw some passes to Davante Adams that 31 other quarterbacks in the NFL should not have made.
Well, a couple weeks ago, there was that drive from the goal line where they threw Adams the ball a few times, but I mean, it worked. And so that's not, if it works, it's not forced. That doesn't count.
I guess that's what I mean. When we think of forced, we think of failure. But even when they're quote unquote forced, it just works. They're both that good this year. Aaron Rodgers, I'm convinced, will play till he's 60, as long as the Packers just draft a first-round quarterback every 4 years.
Oh, that chip on his shoulder is regrown. Let's go draft somebody.
I mean, seriously, you can't tell me that doesn't play a factor into both his renaissance and Davante Adams' explosion.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah. All right. I'm not saying he's petty and angry. I'm saying, but just like you would say, holy crap, my replacement was just hired. I better step it up a little bit. And he's just been locked in all year. All right, Kev, what do you got for number 3?
Number 3, in 6 career games against the Packers, Muffler Mitch is completing just under 60% of his passes. In his last 4 games of the 2020 season, the Bears have scored at least 30 in each of those games. Trubisky is completing 72% of his passes. This season, the Packers are holding opponents' quarterbacks to a completion percentage of 63.3%. True or false? In week 17, Trubisky will complete at least 63.3% of his passes. Chris, you think he's going to revert to old versus Packers ways, or?
I got to do a little. Research here. You just give me 1 second. I'm googling. So you said the last 4 games they've scored 30 points, right?
In each of those games, they've scored 40 points. Yeah.
All right. So they've played.
30 points. I'm sorry. In each of those games.
Yeah, 30 points. Right. So they've played in those games. Well, no, it's last 4 games. First of all, they lost one of those to the Detroit Lions. And then the Houston Texans, they scored 36. Then the Minnesota Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not exactly what we call a murderer's row. So I don't remember the question.
63.3%.
Oh,
Will
there's not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. False.
So we call that false.
Whatever makes not a chance in hell correct.
False. Great. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Chris. I don't think so.
I'm going to say true only because I don't think that necessarily means that, but just to be a little bit different. I don't know. I was really good with the percentage last week, so I'm going to guess this week. I'm an idiot. Okay, question 4. We're on 4, right? Okay. On the season, Aaron Jones has 61 more rushing yards than David Montgomery on 35 less carries. True or false? Against the Bears, Aaron Jones will get less carries than David Montgomery, but more rushing yards.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good question.
And that's something we need to talk about. I'm going to say false just because 2 things have to happen. And
you're a big fan. Yeah, I knew you were going to say false. You're a big fan against the 2 things have to happen.
I am. Yeah.
James, what do you think?
Oh man, that's a toughie. You know what? I tend to say false as well, just because I think I don't know if Jamal Williams is going to play, but I think AJ Dillon's going to play a sizable role again. So
yeah, and that's my note too. Is that if Aaron Jones gets less carries than he has in the previous weeks, and he's banged up as well.
So let's talk about that. I think the chances this week, AJ Dillon getting the lion's share of the carries are very high. First of all, where's this game being played? This game is being played in Chicago. Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's still going to be cold either way. Chicago, that field is terrible. I I can't imagine that Aaron Jones is going to be getting most of the carries, especially with how hot A.J. Dillon was. And it's not like you have to tell Aaron Jones, look, he's winning the job. You just tell him, I want to rest you for the playoffs. How great is it to have Aaron Jones on absolutely fresh legs for week 1 of the playoffs? If you win this game, he gets basically 3 weeks off. Not that he won't get any carries, but just like last week, I think he's going to have such reduced carries. James, what do you think?
I mean, I think the possibility is there. I know Aaron Jones has actually historically had some pretty good games against Chicago, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to ride that. But I think AJ Dillon provides such a nice change of pace, and in this type of weather, it's not going to be ridiculously cold. I think it's going to be mid-30s, but I feel like if AJ Dillon's the hot hand, you give the ball to him. So yeah, I think he has the potential really to eat into Aaron Jones's carries.
What do you think, Kev? You expect to see a lot of A.J. Dillon?
I do. I think because of the fact that he was banged up last week, and that, obviously if the Packers are like in the second half, I think you'll see more Dillon than you would typically see him, just because that would be when the Packers would have a lead and it would be time to give him a little rest.
And in case you're wondering, the Packers, the game that affects the Packers' number 1 seed opportunity is the Seahawks game. They both play at 4:25. The NFL has done a good job of scheduling those rivalry matchups, or not rivalry matches, but the matchups that will affect each other in playoff seeding, scheduling them at the same time so you don't have one. In years past, we may have had a situation where you wonder if the Packers would even start Aaron Rodgers. He may be a late healthy scratch because the game is inconsequential at that point. We won't have that this year, though.
Yeah.
The details of that game are inconsequential. Sorry. Are we doing more questions? Am I ready for the next one?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Question number 5. With the reemergence of Mitch Trubisky as the Bears signal caller, there's one particular podcast that's a little sad they don't get to discuss another quarterback who some have called the biggest jock strap of all time, Nick the Dick Foles. True or false? Nicholas the Dickolas will play in at least one snap against the Packers. I wanted.
Is that his formal name, Nicholas the Dickolas?
Right. Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I'm all in. Yes, the Packers will so devastate Mitch Trubisky that he will be on Indeed.com by halftime looking for his next career, and Nick, the large wang quarterback, will play in the game.
You know what?
Terrible. This is a terrible choice. Percentage-wise, this is a terrible choice, but I have faith.
I'm gonna say false. I don't think he's actually going to play in the game. But I mean, he does have an enormous penis, so good for him.
That's a good one, James. Nick Foles. Okay, I like that. I'm going to say false as well, unless, like you mentioned, James, his penis sneaks onto the field while on the sideline.
That's happened. That was a 15-yard penalty. He tripped up a return man.
A 15-yard penalty, half the distance of Nick Foles' wang.
You can't give a 30-yard penalty, Kevin.
It was unnecessary penis, is what it's.
Oh boy, we are 12 years old.
You know what? I feel whenever we make these jokes, I think about some parent that's taking their kid to school or something, listening to our podcast on the way. And now all of a sudden,
educational. Hold on, let's make up for it. So I'm gonna put my serious voice. Hold on. Kids, stay in school, or you could end up with a Packers podcast begging people to pay you a couple bucks an episode. It's fun, but it's no way to make a living. Stay in school. Say no to most drugs.
The expensive ones.
Yeah, man. That's a drag. All right. I think we have more to cover. Yes, we do. We have. Oh, gentlemen, I forgot. This is out of order, and you'll have to forgive me. But
you have to.
69, dudes.
Nice.
69.
Gentlemen. Just after just after a lengthy discussion with Ryan, moving into the segment 69 of the week, I'd like to introduce Marty Krasovko in the chat who says, "Hi, boys. Mom is watching."
Oh my god. I can't even.
Hi, Mom. All right. So, 69 of the week, as you know, it's the David Bakhtiari 69 of the week. In no way supported or, well, I mean, he hates us. David, he's asked us several times to stop. But this week, gentlemen, I'm going to have to ask your indulgence.
Okay.
Because
What are you, the Catholic Church?
Is natural.
if we stretch it and we imagine and maybe we go back in time,
This is the best natural laxative to clear all the sucked poop in your intestines. You will lose 3 kg in one day.
so I'm going to call it a natural, and I'm taking great liberty, but this was a fan-submitted 69 of the week. So let me give credit to that wonderful listener. It was Don P. at Don P757. I'm sure he's a pilot. Anyway, Don wrote to us and said, he actually just quote tweeted at us, and prior to this game against the Titans, when they were leading at halftime, the Green Bay Packers under Aaron Rodgers were 69-1-1.
This is natural.
So while I did stretch it, and while this is about a week old, we didn't do a show over Christmas break, so I think it's allowable. James, what say you?
Yes, I sustained.
You know what?
69,
Oh, sorry, Kevin, you're fine.
You were right to do that.
Nice.
Everyone's about to object, so I 69 right over. Like a big old steamroller.
Hi, Mom.
Also,
You're doing it wrong.
we also do have a voice. Did you have something to add, Kevin?
Never.
All right. I didn't say contribute. I said add. We do have one voicemail this week, and that is from our good friend, our OG. It's Milo Mitsa.
Hey guys, it's Milo calling to celebrate the happy win to the game. It was a great game to watch. And also a big egg in my face from the last call I had complaining about the draft and wondering whether A.J. Dillon was really necessary or anything. Wow. What a game for him. And really great to see that there is truly a lot of depth behind Jones at the running game if he doesn't stay or anything. But I don't know, maybe it was a result of just dominating so thoroughly throughout the whole game that he really got a chance to shine. But I feel good about our depth for next year. So we just signed Snacks Harrison, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, mostly just calling to say, boy, was that a couple weeks too early on my part to have voicemail. But looking forward to hopefully winning next week and not having to worry about anybody else doing anything and having the playoffs run through Lambeau. Take it easy, guys. Go Pack, go.
And guys, here's the one thing that I thought was really cool. Watching a game at Lambeau with very few fans but snow, that was kind of cool. I mean, I do also love seeing the fans and this, but it was just, it didn't lose its magic, that's for sure.
It did not. That was that's fun. Snow games are my favorite. I love snow games.
It was last year that we went to the game against the Panthers, and that was my first ever snow game, and damn, that was fun. Even if I did spend quite a bit of time in the restroom, that's another story.
Is it just me, or is it blatantly obvious that A.J. Dillon listens to the podcast, was inspired, and maybe a little bit PO'd, shall I say?
What you're saying, if I have this right, is Milo provided the chip on A.J. Dillon's shoulder that propelled him. So indirectly, the Titletown Sound podcast is partially responsible for the victory over the Titans.
And as such,
right,
the Titletown Sound Off podcast should receive a portion of any future contract endeavors. You're a lawyer, Chris. You can write that up.
I am a bad lawyer, so I could do that.
The Dr. Nick of lawyers.
That's literally Lionel Hutz. I declare a bad court thingy. You mean a mistrial? That's why you're the judge, and I'm the law talking guy. Milo would like to not encourage AJ Dillon to be mad at me. He's in the chat and he's begging. So no, I don't think as long as you stay out of the way of those quads, you'll be fine. But we need to address one thing.
Yes, I know what you're going to
We
say.
need to- It's the elephant in the room.
Yep.
The Lambo leap. the first Lambo leap.
I know it. I know what happened. Okay, so we've seen his thighs. We've seen how his monstrous his legs are.
Oh, we have.
He was simply worried about jumping too far into the stand, so he had to. He doesn't know his own strength. Is essentially what's happening
He
here.
could have actually propelled himself into lot 1.
Right through the luxury boxes. Right, exactly.
Yeah, that would have been a drag, and then he probably would have been doubtful to return at that.
Right. That might put your status in jeopardy because I think you'd have to go through concussion protocol if your head flies through glass. I think that's a rule.
That's in the rules. I've seen it.
and customs too, because I mean he'd be
found out in Scarborough.
So thanks for the call, guys. If you want to call, I don't have the number handy because I never do.
920-445 TTSO.
At least one of us pays attention. It's not like I don't check the voicemail.
PO box.
PO box. You can send us. All right, let's play spread them because mercifully the show is over. Mercifully for our listeners. I just have to find the damn 19-second.
Throw a whiz.
Does anyone know what the spread is, by the way?
I got it. Yeah. Thanks, James.
It's the amount of points that Las Vegas expects for the opponent to win by, but that's not important right now.
I like how we play a 19-second intro, but we talk over it. That's effective.
We talk over the whole thing with airplane.
We are nothing but professional. By the way, if you joined us in the chat tonight, thanks a lot. We had a lot of people in the live chat. It's always a lot more fun to see you guys reacting to the show and know that people are listening to it live. Sorry we missed last week, but we have families, so stop being a dick and complaining.
Speak for yourselves. I was here with my computer open. I was ready to go. There was nobody.
Guys, is this on? Guys, I sent you the show outline, guys.
Change scares me.
All right, Kevin, spread them. Oh, no, wait.
All right. What is the spread? Is that what you meant?
Yes.
The Packers are favored by 6 points. 6 points.
I'm going to take your Kings of the North, NFC #1 seeds, by having Green Bay Packers.
Okay. And James, what about you?
I'm still curious about that buy. You know me. I go Bears.
Nice. Beauty choice.
I'm gonna go Packers. I'm gonna go Packers.
All right.
Yeah, play the sound. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Well, I think all that's left is
we don't have any more sounds.
It's time to sound off.
That's all that's left of the show, guys.
Okay.
Anybody want to go first?
Sure, why not? Indulge me. I have 2 quick things. Number one, I'd like to congratulate my University of Wisconsin Badgers for their beatdown and their victory today over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in the Duke Mayonnaise Bowl.
Wait, whoa. What?
Yeah.
Now? What bowl?
The Duke Mayo Bowl.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not Duke made out of mayonnaise. It's literally there's a company. There's a company named Duke.
But I'm imagining a bowl of mayonnaise that's been just sat on it. You ever go to a church function and they have sandwiches and they have mayonnaise in that bowl at the end? It's kind of in that whip shape, but it's yellowish.
Oh, it's horrifying.
And then if you scrape it, like if you get some mayo, the inside is mayonnaise colored, but the outside has got that patina. That's what I imagine when you talk about the Duke mayonnaise bowl.
How'd you know about my patina?
I mean, look, Patina is our defensive coordinator, so I mean, if he makes a mayonnaise, I'll eat it. Number 2, I would like to present my theory.
I'm gonna note an hour and 3 minutes because I'm gonna have to clip. If he makes a mayonnaise, I'll eat it. That's my moral obligation is to isolate that sound.
And then number 2, I just have a quick theory on MVP. It's moot now because Mahomes isn't playing. I don't think Mahomes is even the MVP on his own team. I think Travis Kelce has more deserving of an MVP award in the NFL than Patrick Mahomes is.
Could we have a Duke of Rib Bowl?
Yeah, we already did that. I think your toilet did about 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your hot take, but I had to. I could go for another. By the way.
Your toilet had a Duke of Rib Bowl.
Got a struggle bubble. That was yikes. Kevin.
Yeah, my sound off is related to James's sound off. Guys, I think at the end of that game, instead of Gatorade, they should have dunked the coach with mayonnaise. I think that would have been a better, more
of Dukes.
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
Or could you imagine having like a full Gatorade container of mayonnaise, right? And they're just just like for like 4 minutes while they're shaking everything.
It slides out in one big cylinder like cranberry sauce. It's just disgusted and greasy, covered in mayo.
Fun fact
for your hair, though.
Fun fact about the post game festivities for the Duke of Mayo Bowl. Wisconsin starting quarterback Graham Mertz was holding the crystal like trophy in the locker room dancing, and he dropped it and it shattered all over the floor. So we can't even win anything right.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay, my sound off. I don't know. I don't want to be political again, but I'm going to be, because we could have had direct pay. We got millions of people out there who haven't paid rent in months because they haven't been able to, and at some point that's going to catch up with us. We had a chance this week to give those people, to help people, and give them $2,000 as a stimulus, and we chose not to, because a living turtle who cares more about re-election every year than helping the American people decided not even to allow people to vote for it. This is not a partisan issue. So call your senator and tell him to vote for the damn $2,000. I know it's probably a pipe dream, but why not? I just think,
And then take a portion of that $2,000 and become a patron.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah. So this was all just a big Patreon commercial. We were just trying to get that out of it.
Your rent is whatever. You can catch up on that later. But
to be a patron, you're missing valuable minutes right now. You're missing minutes. Right now. Let's get out of here, James. Before we go, what should people tweet at us?
I think they should tweet at us. Let's go with Patina.
Nice. He was Louisville coach, right? Rick Patina.
Rick Patina. If he made a mayonnaise, I'd eat it.
Patina's natural mayo. Good.
The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute, LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. Don't steal our crap.